question from yesterday's discussion?
Yeah.
Last. Yeah. So at the end of the discussion, like you had mentioned about, that relationship management, like when we see someone same as ourselves, make friendship, superior to us, serve, and then inferior to us, have a compassion.
Mm-hmm.
So now, how do we identify like?
How do we identify?
No, should we only just look at the externals, or
No, how can you see externals? As in externals meaning?
No, if we have to identify who is superior to us or who is inferior to us.
No, inferior means, see, basically it is not it's not a real evaluation. It's not like a real evaluation. You just feel, many times you just feel like somebody is inferior, right? And we might just develop, like, oh, this person is like this, some kind of negative attitude towards somebody, or literally, like, for example, like, I mean, there are so many ways to kind of estimate this, right? Like, suppose say you're very knowledgeable in some area, and then you see somebody who has absolutely no knowledge in that area. You feel, okay, this person doesn't even know this much, for example. I mean, I'm saying, like, generally how people deal with others. In every interaction, there is some evaluation that is happening in the back of the mind. It might not be intentional. Sometimes, if there are situations, say we are getting irritated with somebody, for example, right? You're getting irritated by the way somebody is behaving, for example. Now, this is happening every time. That means that in your view, that person, the way he or she is acting is inferior to you. So you're getting irritated, right? Now, that time, the point is not whether you are right or that other person is right, or it's not judgment. Just that now, because you're feeling that the other person is inferior to, just show compassion. Now, obviously, at that point of time, you have to know whether you are on the right platform or not.
Yes.
Right. And that obviously will come with the practice, with the reading of Shastra, etc. Right. We will keep continuously evaluating, continuously improving, etc., etc. So we know, in some sense, whether we were simply, because was it a conditioned response, was it really true, etc., etc. Right. So basically, the whole idea of compassion is, instead of getting frustrated, angry at somebody whom you might feel inferior, you feel compassionate towards them, so that you don't bring about a negative reaction towards that person.
Okay.
Right. How do we know whether somebody is right or wrong? I mean, that is the reason why we are reading Shastra. Right. And we are trying to discriminate in our action. Because, see, when we read Shastra, first thing is for our own application, right? When we are trying to apply in our own life, then we know, okay, this is right, this is wrong, this is expected, this is not expected. Now, when the not expected behavior we observe in somebody else, instead of criticizing them or, getting irritated at them, we should feel compassionate and say, okay, this is like this.
Okay.
Not clear?
Yes, please. Yes, thank you. Also, like all situations that we encounter may not be there in the scriptures, right?
Like what situation will not be there?
No, each and every behavior exhibited by a person.
No, but it will fall into these buckets, no? Like what else will it be? What other bucket can be there? Either somebody is equal, somebody is better, somebody is inferior. These are only three buckets, no? It's only our perception, right? On where that person stands, or what the person's behavior, we will evaluate into one of these three.
Yes, into one of these three. So to evaluate that, you mentioned that we should be having proper knowledge from the scriptures. So in order to verify the behavior with the scriptures, right? So what I was trying to ask was that, each and every behavior will not be, we can't verify each and every behavior in the scriptures, from the scriptures, right?
See, scriptures are a framework. Some cases it is a very specific specific instruction. So, I mean, at least for me, from as of now, from whatever I have experienced in my life and what I have read in scriptures, I have not seen anything which comes outside the purview of what I have read.
Okay. Okay.
Like 99%, because either some will be direct application, others will be extended application. Extended application means like, 1 plus 1 equals 2, right? You will see one somewhere, you will see another one somewhere else, and then you figure out, okay, if 1 plus 1 comes together, what happens? Little bit of discretion. That is why the discretion word is used, right? So where little bit of intelligence comes into play, and then we will evaluate based on maybe say not just one principle, but maybe on multiple principles from Shastra. But usually we will, I mean, yeah, very rare, unless it's some emergency kind of situation where it might not be there. Maybe that also will be there, because there are so many, that kind of emergencies also that we see in Shastra. Like, Vishwamitra eating me, dog's meat, etc. So, I mean, there should be, I don't know if there are, then we will have to really try to understand. But like I said, my own experience, it looks like it's all there. Unless we are having so, special kind of scenarios, then we will have to see.
Okay. Yes, but yeah, thank you.
Okay, anybody has any pending questions, or should we move on? Okay, so we are doing 5.15 today. Nadatte kasachit papam na chaiva sukritam vibhuhu agnanena vritam gnanam tena muhyanti jantavaha. Not as a Supreme Lord assume anyone's sinful or pious activities. Now, assume means that he's not either he's not responsible or he's not the reason, or he doesn't accept, in the sense, na datte, he doesn't give, na chaiva sukrutam, so he doesn't, what is datte here? Accepts, adatte, okay, datte means gives, adatte means takes. So basically he's not taking it, or he's not responsible for it. Embodied beings, however, are bewildered because of the ignorance which covers the real knowledge. So what is this bewilderment Krishna is talking about? Many times when people have problems, they say, Krishna, why did you do this? Why did you give me this problem? Why is God giving so many problems to people? So embodied beings, all jivas, are bewildered because of this, because of ignorance. They are bewildered that actually Lord is assuming someone's sinful or pious activities. So this bewilderment is just because of ignorance. So whenever there is any situation in life, we should not say, oh Krishna, why did you do this to me? Krishna is not doing anything to us. We only done it to ourselves. Okay, so let's see what Prabhupada is saying in the purport. The Sanskrit word Vibhu means the Supreme Lord who is full of unlimited knowledge, riches, strength, fame, beauty, and renunciation. He is always satisfied in himself, undisturbed by sinful or pious activities. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity. He does not create a particular situation for any living entity. But the living entity, bewildered by ignorance, desires to be put into certain conditions of life. And thereby his chain of reaction and action and reaction begins. See, so the desire is the root. Desire is the root. So once we desire, and Prabhupada is very clearly explained, chain of action and reaction begins. So one desire, one action, from that, reaction, from the reaction, further actions, and so on and so forth. And then it goes in, it becomes like a chain which cannot be very easily broken. That is why even after we stop acting sinfully, we still have to suffer the reactions of things that we have done in the past. That is the reason why Krishna says, surrender unto me. Because even if you stop behaving sinfully, still your reactions will keep coming. And the only way that can be stopped is when you surrender to me. right? Living entity by superior nature who is full of knowledge. And this is, this is the beauty of the Lord's creation, right? So we are full of knowledge, but we are bewildered by ignorance. We are superior energy, but we are stuck with by control under the control of inferior energy. So powerful, Lord is, and Lord's energies are. We are very tiny. We don't have the strength to overcome this. So we have to take shelter of Krishna. That is the only option. Nevertheless, he is prone to be influenced by ignorance due to his limited power. The Lord is omnipotent, but the living entity is not. The Lord is Vibhu, but the living entity is Anu or atomic. Because he is living soul, he has the capacity to desire by his free will. So please write this down somewhere. Desire and free will. Because of this desire, we are here in this material world and we are stuck in whatever situation we are stuck. It is our desire. It was our desire to do something which we did, and the reaction of which we are undergoing right now. And that happens because of free will. So whenever there is a so this is also one very difficult thing to say, saying that what is action, what is new action that I am creating, and what is reaction that I am experiencing. Generally, something which is thrust upon us is reaction from past life, karma phala. That means that it just comes and falls on our head. We didn't do anything for it. It is very easily you can understand its karma phala. And whatever we do by using independence as either as a new action or as a reaction to a previous action, wherein we are not being forced by external situations. There, mostly, and it's very difficult, of course. That's why Krishna says, "Karmana." It's very intricate. What is that? This is Guhyam. It's very complicated. How karma pala acts, what is free, what is new action, what is result of a reaction, previous reaction. So, for example, if we simply just shout at somebody without anything, any reason, that could be new action or that could also be a reaction, right? So it's very difficult to say. So that is why it is said that whenever things are not being super thrust on us, like we have some scope to say prevent an action, then we should use our free will. Like for example, somebody says something and we get affected is mostly reaction, because whatever that person is saying, we are getting irritated. Something is happening inside. Now, when we react to it, it could be a continuation of a past reaction, or it could be just free will. So we should try to, that is why we should always try to kind of control our actions, right? And for that we require spiritual strength, and that is why we chant. So we don't have to go into the complication of whether this is a reaction, is there a new action, etc. We just have to try and control ourselves in all situations. And that is the reason why humility and tolerance are the most two important qualities required for progress. Because whenever there is some trying situation, then we have to tolerate. And if anything is inflicted on us personally, then we have to be humble. So both these are there. Mostly misuse of free will be reduced. Otherwise, this free will is being misused mainly because of false ego. This is very important. If it's not clear, please let me know. So this free will has to be directed towards Krishna. And that we have to desire. First of all, we should desire to direct our free will towards Krishna. Desire only things for the pleasure of Krishna. and we don't misuse our we try to, yeah, I mean, it's together actually. Desire, free will, everything is together. So we desire and we try to act for the pleasure of Krishna. And whenever we are provoked to do something, with humility and tolerance, we kind of try to control ourselves from acting in a non-acceptable way. These two things have to be remembered. Such desire is fulfilled only by the omnipotent Lord. And so when the living entity is bewildered in his desires, the Lord allows him to fulfill those desires. But the Lord is never responsible for the actions and reactions of the particular situation which may be desired. So one will desire, and then if the Lord doesn't allow, then we cannot fulfill our desires also. So the Lord allows, but he's not responsible for the action. He's just giving the facility. Being in a bewildered condition, therefore, the embodied soul identifies himself with the circumstantial material body and becomes subjected to the temporary misery and happiness of life. Again, very deep statement. Identifies himself with the circumstantial material body. Circumstantial, which means that the body as it is in a particular situation or circumstance. So if the body is in misery, then circumstantially the body is in a miserable condition. So then we associate with that thinking, we identify ourselves with that suffering material body, and we are subjected to the temporary misery or similarly happiness. The Lord is the constant companion of the living entity as Paramatma or Super Soul, and therefore he can understand the desires of the individual soul as one can smell the flower of a flower by being near it. Desire is a subtle form of conditioning for the living entity. The Lord fulfills his desire as he deserves. As he deserves. Not as much as we want, as much as we deserve. Man proposes, God disposes. So if we want something to happen also, then God has to make it happen. Otherwise it won't happen. The individual is therefore not omnipotent in fulfilling his desires, because the God has to dispose. He has to fulfill it. The Lord, however, can fulfill all desires, and the Lord, being neutral to everyone, does not interfere with the desires of the minute living entity. This is another question people are saying, that why is Krishna, God, allowing people to act sinfully? Because it is their free will, and he does not desire to meddle with the independent desires of independent living entities. However, when one desires Krishna, this is very important. That is why this desire, this whole purport, please read it again and see how many times desire coming. One desires Krishna, the Lord takes special care, and encourages one to desire in such a way that one can attain to him and be eternally happy. Encourages one to desire. So now the Lord is doing something proactively. Proactively in the sense, because we are desiring, he is in that sense, he is reacting, but he takes special care and encourages us so that we can attain him. The Vedic hymns therefore declare Esha hi eva sadhu karma karyatitam yam ebhyo lokebhyo unninishate. Esa eva sadhu karma karyati yam adho ninishate. The Lord engages the living entity in pious activities so that he may be elevated. The Lord engages him in impious activities so that he may go to hell. So the Lord is just giving, engages means he is just giving facility, that's all. And either way, this way or that way, we can either go to him or go to hell. Agno jantur anisho yam atmana sukha dukkhayoho ishvara prerito gachet swargam vasvabhram evacha. The entity is completely dependent in his distress and happiness. By the will of the Supreme, he can go to heaven or hell as the cloud is driven by the air. Therefore, the embodied soul, by his immemorial desire to avoid Krishna consciousness, causes his own bewilderment. Consequently, although he is constitutionally eternal, blissful, and cognizant, due to the littleness of his existence, he forgets his constitutional position of service to the Lord and is thus entrapped by nescience. Because we are very small, littleness of existence, we are very small, minute, insignificant. So we get entrapped by ignorance. And under the spell of ignorance, The living entity claims that the Lord is responsible for his conditional existence. This is what Krishna is refuting, saying that I am not responsible, you are responsible yourself. The Vedanta Sutras also confirm this. Vaishamya nairgrinhye na sapekshatvat tatha hi darshayati. The Lord neither hates nor likes anyone, though he appears to. So the gist is that we are the cause of our own suffering and happiness. But we are not independent in that. The Lord gives the facilities, but he is not responsible for it. We are responsible for it. He is the provider. And he doesn't meddle with our minute independence. So we have to know what to desire and we have to desire accordingly. Any questions?
Hare Krishna, bro. This line here which says, and many times Prabhupada said in some way, I just want to understand more. This deserve, there was one line somewhere there, it says, Lord fulfills, desire as he deserves. So this deserves is based on our
karma phala.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. Anything else?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji.
Hare Krishna.
Indra Pranam. Prabhuji, it's related with the karma phala. See, at any given point of time, either one is enjoying the previous past karma phala or doing new karma. Correct. Only two things are there. Either we are enjoying past karma phala or either we are doing new karma. So how to get completely free from karma and karma phala, Prabhu? I mean,
so karma,
is there in
karma has three types. When we say karma, generally, there's karma, there's vikarma, and there's akarma. Karma just means action, activity, right? But so either there is approved activity or acceptable activity, or there is not acceptable activity, or there is no activity or activity which doesn't produce any result. Okay, so karma results in punya, vikarma results in papa, akarma results in neither karma nor papa. Which means that if a person is engaged in akarma, first is he stops accumulating new karma phala. Okay. Then the question is, what about the accumulated karma phala? For destroying accumulated karma phala, we have to surrender to Krishna. Sarvadharman parityajya mamekam sharanam vraja aham tvam sarva papebhyam mokshayishyami ma shuchaha. So we have to surrender to Krishna. When we surrender to Krishna, then actually when we get initiated, then at that time diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpan. So that time actually our prarabdha is just except prarabdha, everything else is destroyed. All other karma phala is destroyed, which means prarabdha and bija or kuta. So there are four types of karma phala, 4 stages of karma phala. Let me put that way, not 4 types. 4 stages of karma phala. It is called prarabdha, which is suffering in this life that we are experiencing. Prarabdha, and then there's also called bija, which means which we might experience not today but like 5 years from now. Then there is aprarabdha, which is our future reserve of all karma phala, and kuta also, which is another stage of the fruit. Karma phala means fruit. So these are 4 stages of the fruit. So when initiation happens, aprarabdha, kuta is destroyed fully. Then there is prarabdha and bija. Prarabdha and bija also Krishna. So basically, when we surrender to Krishna, which means that we surrender to Guru. So technically, all this can be removed. All this is removed also in one way, but sometimes it depends on. It takes some time. It's like the fan switching off. When we switch off the fan, then it still rotates for some time. So that sometime it depends on individuals. For that some time, karma phala is going on, but under complete control of the Supreme Lord, and under complete intervention by the Supreme Lord. So to whatever extent we have to be, whatever suffering has to come, it will come, but with the whole intention of taking the devotee closer to Krishna. So how do we stop? Like I said, one is engage in devotional service, because that is akarma. Second thing is, when we do that, we also surrender to Krishna. So at the same time, new karma phala is stopped and old karma phala is destroyed.
Okay, Prabhuji.
Yeah, and Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu also talks about how it's only bhakti which can actually destroy kuta, all the 4 stages, kuta, bija, prarabdha, prarabdha. No other, like for example, there is discussion about prayashchitta. Prayashchitta can eliminate karma phala, but it doesn't remove the bija. It doesn't remove the propensity to sin. It can remove a previous sin, but it will not prevent us from sinning again. So prayashchitta is compared to elephant taking bath in water and then coming out and throwing dust on itself. While it is important, in the absence of bhakti, prayashchitta is very important. If one has done some bad, sinful activity, one has to do prayashchitta. And previously, people were trained to do prayashchitta for different types of sins, different types of prayashchitta is there in Shastra, and people used to know, or they used to, get guidance from known learned people. But they used to engage in prayashchitta, not like Kali Yuga, where people, first of all, are not even bothered whether it's punya or papa. Second, there's no knowledge of prior that one has to do prayashchitta, and then, of course, then figuring out the details of prayashchitta, etc. So it's very easy for those engaged in chanting Hare Krishna, because it is the biggest or the greatest, the most powerful prayashchitta. Yeah. So
Yeah, Prabhuji. So 2 things actually, devotional service and initiation from the Guru.
Yeah.
These 2 things can save us from past karma phala, right, Prabhu?
Initiation meaning not namesake initiation.
Yeah.
Surrender. So initiation means surrender to Guru, surrender to Krishna. If you actually surrender, then it happens. Otherwise, if we just namesake, we got initiated, but we are not surrendered to Guru, surrender to Krishna, then nothing will happen. So nothing in bhakti is just namesake, like, okay, tick mark. Oh, ye ho gaya. So then I will, get this, get that. It's not like that. So it has to be with complete involvement. That is why Prabhupada everywhere says sincerity, seriousness. If you surrender to Krishna with sincerity and seriousness, and Prabhupada says somewhere, saying that maybe initially we might not be able to follow all the rules and regulations, but we are not resentful. We are not like, we're not hating it, or we're not disliking it, or we want to, but just that in our current state, we are not able to follow. That is okay. That is acceptable. Unless, we don't want to follow something, then we are in trouble. Then nothing will help. Okay, so surrender to Guru means surrender to Krishna, or surrender to Krishna means surrender to Guru. And actually, we have to come to pure devotional service, because the destruction of all karma phala happens only when we reach the pure stage. Till then, it will be destroyed to different extents, again based on our surrender. Is that okay?
Yeah, Prabhu. Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you.
Okay. Okay, let's do this.
Project related to deserve. Yeah. So in bhakti, so when we say mercy, causeless mercy, right? So we are getting that even if we don't deserve.
Yeah, you can say that. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. So your question is
That's a question. Yeah, that's a question. Like
whether
so even if we don't deserve.
Yeah,
So
deserve. We don't deserve, but it also is accomplished by some effort, sincere effort.
yes.
Yeah, so there should be sincere effort, but even though we might not have really, we might not deserve it, we might get it. Yeah, so that's also one speciality of bhakti compared to material life, because in material life, there's nothing like that.
Yes.
We get whatever we deserve, right? But here, we get maybe more than what we deserve, mostly.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
Then this Anu, which is superior energy of the Lord. So how is it under the full control of inferior energy?
Because we want it to. We want to be under the inferior energy. We want to enjoy independent of Krishna. This is our desire. That is why it's a peculiar situation where superior energies come under the control of inferior energy, right? Because we want it to be. We wholeheartedly want ourselves to be under. We want to try and enjoy independent of Krishna, and this is the environment of the inferior energy is what is available for us to try that. Not do so, it cannot happen, but we can try in this environment of inferior energy, which is material energy. So we have kind of surrendered ourselves to inferior energy instead of surrendering ourselves to Krishna. So it's very peculiar, strange.
Okay.
That is the reason why we should desire to get out of it, because unfortunately, once we desire, we are stuck so badly in this material world that even if we want to independently, we cannot get out. They're crazily stuck. So we just simply need mercy of Krishna and Guru for us to be able to get out.
Yes. So this desire is making superior energy inferior to the inferior.
Yeah, yes. And the same desire can pull us out.
Okay, thank you.
Right, so this is one of the first things actually. I mean, when I started reading Bhagavad Gita, Bhagavatam, the first thing that came was this verse, Akama Sarvakama Va Moksha Kama. So this Kama means basically desire. Right, so either we can desire to enjoy independent of Krishna, or we can desire to get out of this nonsense material world. We have to desire. If you don't desire, nothing will happen. People sometimes, devotees are in Krishna consciousness, they're practicing for so many years and they say nothing is happening. I said, like, how can nothing happen? It can't be. By design, something has to happen. Right? Either we have to go up or we have to go down. Being at the same level is itself one. It seems like anomaly in this material world, because with bhakti you cannot just remain constant. Somewhere either you have degraded or you have upgraded, but you have to go into some level of detail to understand that, right? So because one will always keep desiring, right? Either that person is desiring material things or is desiring spiritual things, because as jiva we can't be without desire. So if we desire material thing, then we will be going down in bhakti. If we desire spiritual thing, then we'll be going up in bhakti. So we cannot remain constant in bhakti. It's like a inconceivable situation. Right? So desire is the root. Please don't forget it. I mean, if you are in whatever situation we are in, right? It is all because of desire. We are desiring wrong things, then we are in trouble. If you are desiring right things, then we will free ourselves. Okay. Jnanena tu tadajnanam yesham nashitam atmanaha tesham adityavat jnanam prakashayati tatparam. When, however, one is enlightened with the knowledge, by which nescience is destroyed, then his knowledge reveals everything as the sun lights up everything in the daytime. So when we get this adhyatmika gnana, right, the spiritual knowledge, it is like sun. It lights up everything and it reveals everything to us. What is this adhyatmika gnana? This is sambandha, videya, prayojana, mainly sambandha to start with. What is our relationship with the Lord, why we are here, what we need to do, etc. etc. Those who have forgotten Krishna must certainly be bewildered. But those who are in Krishna consciousness are not bewildered at all. So if we are bewildered in any situation, that means that we are not in Krishna consciousness or perfect Krishna consciousness. We are in some stage. And we know, okay, there is a gap. We need to fill that up. It is stated in the Bhagavad Gita, Sarvam Gnanam Gnanaplavena Gnanagni Sarva Karmani and Nahi Gnanena Sadrisham. Knowledge is always highly esteemed. And what is that knowledge? Perfect knowledge is achieved when one surrenders unto Krishna. As is said in the 77th chapter, 19th verse, Bhavanam Janmanamante Gnanaman Mam Prapatyate. After passing through many, many births, when one perfect in knowledge surrenders unto Krishna, or when one attains Krishna consciousness, then everything is revealed to him as everything is revealed by the sun in the daytime. So again, this is to the extent of our attaining Krishna consciousness. To that extent, things will be revealed to us. The living entity is bewildered in so many ways. For instance, when he unceremoniously thinks himself God, he actually falls into the last snare of nescience. If a living entity is God, then how can he become bewildered by nescience? Does God become bewildered by nescience? If so, then nescience or Satan is greater than God. And this is for the Mayavadis who say that we are actually para Brahma, but we have actually forgotten. Real knowledge can be obtained from a person who is in perfect Krishna consciousness. Therefore, one has to seek out such a bona fide spiritual master and under him learn what Krishna consciousness is. For Krishna consciousness will certainly drive away all nescience as the sun drives away darkness. So this learning business we are doing directly from Srila Prabhupada. Now, if we can't understand some things, then we have to really ask spiritual master. But in our setup, we maybe not everybody can reach their spiritual master. So then we approach other devotees, more experienced devotees, etc. Even though a person may be in full knowledge that he is not this body but is transcendental, he still may not be able to discriminate between the soul and the super soul. However, he can know everything well if he cares to take shelter of the perfect bona fide conscious spiritual master. One can know God and one's relationship with God only when one actually meets a representative of God. The representative of God never claims that he is God, although he is paid all respects, ordinarily paid to God because he has knowledge of God. One has to learn the distinction between God and living entity. Lord Krishna therefore stated in second chapter that every living being is individual and the Lord is also individual. They were all individuals in the past, present, and future, even after liberation. At night, we see everything as one in the darkness, but in day, when the sun is up, we see everything in its real identity. Identity with individuality in spirit life is real knowledge. So this identity with individuality, that means that all of us are individuals. We continue to be individuals. Even in spiritual life, we don't become one with Krishna, Sayujya. So we don't become one with Krishna. We remain individual. That is real knowledge, that we don't merge with Krishna. Because we are servitors of Krishna. We have to serve Krishna irrespective of whether we are in conditioned life or in liberated life. So whether in the material world or spiritual world, we have to serve Krishna. And we will serve as an individual. And that is real knowledge. So basically, Krishna is saying that we have to get this Sambandha Gnana. And then once we know that we are not equal to Krishna, that we are his servitors, then we engage in serving him. And that is how that knowledge will reveal everything. Everything is, when we surrender to Krishna, everything is revealed to us. Okay, any questions?
Prabhu, one question not related to this verse, but so the sambandha which you're telling.
Mm-hmm.
So I just wanted to understand. I need more clarity in it. So we right now we are here in this material world. So we have our spiritual bodies already present there.
Yeah.
Or our
Spiritual body is already present.
Yeah, so we are here, or I'm a bit confused. So it's told that we are in a dream state.
No, okay. So dream meaning, yeah. Okay, so let me explain. So see, basically in the spiritual world, we have an eternal constitutional position. Constitutional position means that is our eternal position. So if we were in Goloka before coming to this material world, then we can go back to that position. That position is there. That is our eternal position. Just that for now, for the time being, we have given up that position and come to this material world, trying to enjoy independent of Krishna. Technically, we also have spiritual body, which is now covered by material body. Okay. So liberation basically means that just this material, we shed this material body and we resume activities in spiritual body, and then we go back to the spiritual world. Now this position in the spiritual world, that is called Swarupa. Swarupa Sthiti, Swarupa Sthana. That is realized at the stage of Swarupa Siddhi. When we reach that stage where it is revealed to us what is our eternal service to Krishna. Example, one of our acharyas, Narottam Das Thakur, his eternal service is to boil milk for Radha and Krishna. Means not that he keeps boiling milk all the time, but that is his specific service. Nobody else does that. That only he does. And then, of course, he also does other services as a Manjari. So, like this, we have eternal position because we have fallen from that position. We don't remember, we've forgotten. And when we reach the stage of Swarupa Siddhi, then we will actually be that constitutional position is revealed to us. And then there is whole concept of Raga Anuga, etc., which we'll talk some other time.
Okay.
Is that okay?
Yeah, I'm just thinking.
Okay.
So all of this, that the stages you're told, is it all possible within one lifetime, or do we have to go to reach all these stages until we actually get back to the spiritual world? Like for some time back, I asked a question where within a lifetime, can we achieve all of this, or we just think of Krishna at the end of our life and go back?
What does that mean? How can you think about Krishna at the end of life if you have not thought about him throughout our life?
Yeah, no.
That's not possible, right?
Yeah, but no, reaching these stages which you mentioned, no,
so when you asked this question last time, what did I answer? If you asked me,
it's possible. Yeah, it's possible.
It's possible. Thankfully, I answered correctly. It's possible, bro. See, basically, please see. We should understand two things, right? Like I said, first is desire. First is we should intensely desire, saying that I want to achieve this in this life. How many of us intensely desire? Okay, let me stop the recording 1 second.